Welcome to Left On Wed.
Bite-sized tips for people getting hitched. Georgia Fletcher.
Adam Sini.
In the same room.
How did we get here?
In this part of town.
So let's talk pricing. Pricing
Great
is all
drum
about stuff. So
roll. Love it.
price
Appreciate
guides.
it.
We're going to talk about what to expect. We are going to throw some numbers out there. Pricing is one of the things that people want to know when they're planning their wedding. You want to know how much it's going to cost. When you go on websites, you want to see numbers, and you're probably not going to see them. A lot of vendors don't put pricing on their websites. I know we've talked about this.
Wedshed brought it up very recently
Yeah.
again, and it's one of those really frustrating things that couples find that vendors don't have on their website across the board. Sometimes they do, and I know that there are benefits too, but I had a really bad experience when I put my prices on my website where I had a celebrant reach out to me and she said, I will not send couples to you because you're way too effing cheap.
Wow.
When I was just a baby celebrant.
That's full on. My
so-
pricing's never been on my website, for the record.
I do a lot of travel now too.
Yeah, I mean, it's dependent on where you're getting married, when you're getting married, et cetera, et cetera. I would rather, and it's a no obligation thing. All I ask is some details of email, date, and then I will send you a quote back within a day usually. So it's not that hard to get it, and it's a personalized quote to the couple. And that's why I want to get it in, because then I can give you more information and talk it through.
And for celebrants like us that can often bundle extra services like the MC services, the coordination services, there was definitely a bug on the wall. Adam wasn't unleashing his anger about price guides. And it's really important that a tailored quote is made, because I will also, every time I respond to an inquiry, when I'm in Port Macquarie, of course, I will put the kilometres and the hours in my maps to make sure that I know.
Me too.
And I might need to factor in accommodation and things like that.
Yep.
But we've talked about pricing for celebrants.
You also don't know as well if where that vendor is the day before. Like that actually might impact as well. So it might be like, I'm doing a wedding in Jervis Bay the day before, and then you want me to be in, around the Newcastle area. That's a huge distance to get, and that will affect the quote. So that's kind of some reasoning as well. Everyone's different. Photographers, for a bigger event might need to hire a second shooter, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So reach out, you get a personalized quote, and it's no obligation. You don't have to take it. You just tell them thank you, but no thanks.
And speaking about photographers,
Please.
You've got a bit of a quote from one of our favourites, who we won't name, but he is brilliant.
Before we actually get into that, curiously, do you have any idea of just rough pricing for a wedding as a whole? How much
On average, I thought the recent numbers was 40.
30? Oh, 40, is it?
I thought it was $40,000.
For an average wedding in Australia. There you go. Last time I checked, it was 30, but that would have been a few years ago, so that sounds about right.
Yeah.
So, what to expect. And we've done budgeting, but you need a budget from the outset. A lot of budgets blow out as well. Oscar, did your budget blow out? Yeah, it happens. Our budget blew out as well.
I mentioned Cara Hansen in a previous video, and she actually had no budget. Not because she had lots of money to spare, but how on earth, if you are a couple who has never planned a wedding before, how are you meant to know how to budget a wedding when you haven't done it?
Yeah.
So if you don't want to budget or you don't know how to do it, please don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
All you need is a venue, somewhere to go, a celebrant, and maybe a photographer and 2 witnesses.
Yeah.
And then you build on from there.
Exactly, and do what you can, and maybe you get some quotes, and you can tell them that we're just getting quotes for now, and then you can be like, okay, so here's the celebrants that we like, Georgia and Adam, and here's the photographers that we like, and then it's like, okay, now we have a really good snapshot of what's going to cost, but knowing that there are additional costs on top of that, but then you can get a really good plane cost. Since having a 2-year-old, I have turned into a child because Iggy's obsessed with things.
Oh,
I just saw a plane out the window, and whenever I see it, I just go, plane! If I see a fire truck, I'll yell, fire truck! Garbage truck! I got excited for Iggy.
We didn't do transport in that price guide.
Anyway, let's come up with it.
Okay.
Photographers. This is what the message that we got from our photographer. He said it varies massively as hours range. And a huge differentiator with established photographers versus your FB photographers, Facebook. Anything less than $2,500 for a wedding day is usually someone who's had very little experience with weddings and is perhaps just starting out in their first or second year of it. Most likely they've second shot a few times or have done it for a family member for nothing to gain than some portfolio. Nothing wrong with those, but that's
Please always ask for a full gallery. Lovely Jamie from Luminous Moments, a great photographer. She has always suggested that as you are inquiring with your photographers, it is a bit of a red flag that if they can't provide you with a bit of a sneak peek of their style.
Yep. He went on, anything approaching 3 to 3.5 grand would be a decent coverage and are people who have done weddings before. Perhaps it's under a company or maybe a 3 to 4 year old solo wedding photographer. He doesn't mean 3 to 4 years old as a person. He means in their wedding photography business. It's a toddler. And then he went on, 4.5 grand plus, and he reckons you're entering into the premium market where it's a very well-versed photographer who's had closer to hundreds of weddings. And then we know of photographers that can go up to about 10K for a day.
If I did my wedding again, I know exactly which 3 I'd be inquiring with.
Do you want to say? Go on, give him some love. Who do you love?
I love Blaze Bell.
Yeah, Blaze
I
Bell's
love
great.
Adam Egan.
Yeah.
And I love Jamie from Luminous Moments.
Yes, beautiful.
If I want photo video.
Yeah.
So for context, one of my best friends from high school got married in May recently. And as I got married 7 years ago, I was able to live vicariously through her wedding planning. And she said, whoever you think, I will book. And I said, go to Adam's Peak. Get married by Adam. Photo, video, Calla Lily. And hey, while you're there, get Jess and Matt to play the tunes.
And that was a good wedding.
And
Thank you for that.
Would be my wedding.
Georgia and I hung out at a wedding and she was my hype girl in the back. She was brilliant. I put a little bit of shit on Georgia during the ceremony. Thank you, Georgia.
It was great.
I left you alone after a little while.
It was
nice to see such a smiley person in the crowd. She really had my back. Thank you.
Always.
Okay, I just got another message and I sent one out at the start of this episode. So I actually haven't read this yet, but it's from one of our very good floral friends.
Unfiltered.
So I asked, we want a price guide, some handy hints. We want numbers because we want to tell people numbers. And she started with, oofed. That's a loaded question, which is fair enough for florals. It's kind of what I expected her to say, but she has given me some numbers here, which is fantastic. So she said, okay, just for florals, I think couples should budget a minimum of $8,000 for florals. That would get them a personal florals for a normal size wedding party, i.e. 2 people per side, a standard backdrop, reception tables, set up and pat down. If florals are super important to the couple, i.e. one of their top priorities, I would say budget minimum 12 grand. And a caveat that how many guests they have will hit their budget if they have 10 tables compared to 20, if that makes sense. It will vary so much though, and it'll be one of those most confusing parts of their planning process because everyone charges so incredibly differently. That's what she said. Thoughts?
$8,000.
Yeah. That's how much florals cost, man.
That's one of the things that stands out to me that I would pay for is the repurposing.
Yeah.
The drop off, the pickup, the bump in, the bump out, whatever you want to call it. I worked with Leah Mitchell Florals yesterday and she's phenomenal. Her team are worth their weight in gold. Don't know what their prices are, but what they built for the couple yesterday, they came back as soon as the ceremony finished to bring it into the reception and they did the most phenomenal job.
Yeah, but think of the florist's job from start to finish. So communication of the day, they actually have a lot with the couple because that's the vision, that's the visual component.
Mood boards.
Yeah, there's heaps
flower
there,
markets.
right? Yeah, then on the day or before they go into the flower markets, they're there first. Their bump in is huge. They probably have to hire someone else to help them. They're there to repurpose on the day to bump out potentially as well. It's a really big job.
Sometimes they're offering styling
so to be honest,
as
that
well.
number doesn't really surprise me.
Oh, well, knowing who that is as well,
Yeah,
I would be paying that for them.
More than that, quite frankly. Great. Cool. Do you want to hear some more numbers?
We've done celebrant photographer.
We haven't talked about
florist.
celebrant numbers.
We have.
You want to talk about it again? Just in case you've missed it? We're on price guides.
It was my voice last time. So what should you expect to pay for a celebrant?
It depends on a lot of things.
Oh, you want to do your car analogy?
No, I do not. Depends on location, who they are, experience, etc., etc. The general price range, I reckon, is between $1,000 to $3,000 for a celebrant.
Oh.
What are we saying? No?
I said $450 in the last episode.
Oh, potentially, yeah.
If you're on the mid-north coast where I am, there's a strong possibility that we'll be down that low.
Yeah, that is very, very low. In Sydney, for example, you'd be looking at an average sort of sits at 1,500, 1,600. Then you're getting more into a premium range, which would be closer to around $2,000, and then up to about 2.5 potentially.
Plus travel.
Yep.
Check about the marriage certificate as well, that $67 marriage certificate from Birth, Deaths and Marriages.
Nice. Let me just say something. when you are booking your celebrant, the ceremony is so important to the vibe of the day.
It is.
You need someone who you connect with, who you know will be fantastic, who is going to write you a personalized ceremony, make the whole thing seamless. And the difference between a couple $100, for one of the most important parts of your day, whatever. Basically, I'm saying that maybe I was in the more premium range of those celebrants. And you're doing someone who's like, I'm close to 400 weddings now, who has the experience and anything can be thrown at you or I. And like you said before, we will know how to tackle that situation. That is what you're paying for with a more premium experience as well.
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay. MCs as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
What do you got?
I think you should be paying. It really depends on what they bring and what they do.
Yep.
I've had enough validation now to know that I like what I do as an MC.
Yeah.
And I think you should be expecting, and it's also their time between ceremony and reception. Just for context, it's not just when they pick up that microphone when all the guests are seated. That time is very valuable where they're liaising with vendors. They're making sure that everyone's across the timings. Long story short, I think you should be paying upwards of $800 for an MC.
Easy. $800 to $1,500. I reckon we're looking at around those sort of numbers for sure for your MC. Probably more as well, potentially if you're getting a really great professional premium MC. Look, I MC a year, probably about 60 to 70% of the weddings that I do, and I'm a full-time celebrant. So I do a lot of MC work. So like I said before, you're hiring someone who's doing the job and is going to do the job right and well. So you sort of know that you're in safe hands as well. So
one of the biggest compliments I got last night was the DJ felt like he was on a holiday because I was emceeing.
Well, that's the kind of thing. I was with Chris.
Thank you, Taserland. You're so nice.
Right?
I tried to find you on Google to leave you a review.
Tay-Plane.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's where you got to find him. I was with Chris from Savvy Entertainment the other day, and we both saw each other. Do you know Chris? Savvy Entertainment. He's a brilliant DJ, and we both saw each other because he's so easy to work with, and we both went, oh. Our days just got easier, didn't it? And he goes, I know that, because we know how to work with each other. He goes, I know that you're going to do all these things that sometimes I have to do when I have a friend MC. And I'm like, I know that you're going to do all these great things. Like, he's one of the DJs that, like, if I MC someone up and they're taking a long time to get from their table to there, he'll play a big background music song, pump up.
That's
like,
what Tay did
like
last
the rocky
night.
music. And it was just like, makes a difference. He's listening to the speeches, and a song was mentioned during the dad's speech about I Will Always Love You was his song with his daughter. So after the speech, he played the song whilst they were cuddling and everyone was crying. It was just like, that's what I was telling him, that's the premium experience.
And I can tell you something.
Above and beyond.
Tay-Plane did something really cool last night, which was very sad because one of the guests before they got to the wedding had run up the back of someone and they'd run up the back of, it was just a pile up. It was awful. They made it to the wedding. They really wanted to come and they got there, and the vendors knew because also she'd disclosed that she'd had, a sore head. And so I was just looking out for her, making sure that she'd had water and all of that sort of thing. And Tay was like, I'm going to play that song, I Crashed Into a Bridge and I Don't Care.
Oh, yeah.
And he dedicated the song to her and the dance floor went off. And he was like, gather around her. Like, it was so good. And then she's singing along to the lyrics and it just turned a really crappy situation into a really fun one.
Yeah.
Because of the vibe he set as a professional.
Right? That's what you're paying for with the premium experience. I mean, you can get a different experience with someone, but it's like, and same with Chris from Savvy. It's like sometimes I see DJs who are just doing the bare minimum DJing. They're just playing Spotify, and that's fine. And I'm not actually bagging that because it does work. But then when you're going into the next echelon, which is him, he was mixing. So he was playing, the song was starting during the chorus, verse, chorus, pump, 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 and then it mixed into the next song, and the energy was so high the whole night. The dance floor did not have less than 50 people on it the whole night. And that's the difference.
And not to feel like we're competing between Savvy Entertainment and Tay-Plane.
We are right now. It's 'cause
something else that he did.
Yeah, go.
Something else that he did was he had arrived at 11 to set up.
Yeah, right.
He'd set up the reception space. We were working out where he was going to be for the ceremony and the canapes. He set everything up, and then he, with Matt and Tim, photo video, were taking the couple and he was playing live as they practiced their first dance.
Another photo video team that I'll book, Matt and Tim.
Yes.
Okay, let's go to venues, and we have a really great answer for the venue number question. Ooh, this is a tricky one. It starts with, but So dependent on the state and inclusions. Can we, as a caveat for this whole episode, say everything is tricky and you just need to get quotes from people? We're giving you really, and we don't stand by any of this. And if there's some T's and C's, well, we can say that we don't agree with anything and we're wrong. I don't know. I'm just scared of people getting angry at me. I'm just scared. I'm just scared of it.
We are looking at Facebook groups. We've said it before, we are lurking. And one of the questions that pops up all the time is this a normal amount to pay, or who is budget friendly? Who is affordable?
Yeah.
Who can I find that costs an arm and a leg? And here we are. We've reached out to all the vendors that we can think of under each category, and we're just crunching the numbers so that you can have a guide and don't at us.
Guide.
Exactly.
Guide is
Not
very
set
important.
price, a guide.
And if you're looking for a guide on small registry-style weddings in a gin distillery, go to Shot Gin Weddings and join the wait list.
Is there a wait list?
Yeah, you've got to join the wait list to get premium access to bookings first before the general public.
Oh, okay.
Go on the website, you'll find it.
I thought the website was down.
Venues. No, it's not down. It's up right now. Don't do that to me.
Sorry.
A guide could say that a venue with a permanent reception space or shelter, a comm for 10-ish plus people, and a bunch of other inclusions like tables, chairs, etc., which is something you should check.
Always get an inventory.
Yes, always. And check your contract for what is included as well.
Because sometimes they will outsource that to other
Yes,
styling or
great.
furniture companies.
Good point.
Very common on the South Coast, and also a couple of weddings up north.
We're looking around 15 to 20K, they said, for that. So variable, though, they've said. This is everyone's going, caveat, don't please get angry at me. I agree. We're caveat for everything. Take this as very small. If you look at, can I name the venues that they've mentioned in this?
If it's a good thing.
Whatever. If you look at Mona Farm, they said you're starting at around 30K for just the use of the property and reception space. Accommodation is extra. Beautiful venue,
So
and
nice.
you'll sort of, as you're looking, you'll know the sort of echelon of high-end venue that it is, and those ones are all in that similar sort of ballpark from what I know. They said, but that's an anomaly as it's such a pristine estate. There you go. Then they talked about another venue, which I can mention, Mayfield.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yep.
a great
Mayfield
underrated
Vineyard
venue.
with a comm for 28 guests is 19.5 grand. Oh, wow. And that includes pretty much everything. 2 nights of comm, stunning new pavilion, tables, chairs, glassware, commercial kitchen, venue manager, beautiful grounds, etc.
That
Wow.
includes a lot. Mayfield, you should go and look
Wow,
at
that's
it. You
amazing.
don't hear about that enough.
They said, and that feels like a competitive price given all the work that goes into property prep and management. I agree. Wow. That's a good little, idea for what.
What about music?
What about music? What about music? Do we have it here?
I don't think
Hey,
we
cakes
do.
we've got written here anywhere between $600 to $2,000 for a cake.
Yeah, cake is really variable too. Because it will depend on the type, the ingredients, whether it includes pickup or delivery.
Yeah. So music, obviously there's DJs, there's soloists, there's duos, there's bands, and there's people that transition between the two. My understanding is with a DJ, we're starting at around $1,500 for the day. That's on the very much a lower end. For a more premium experience, we might be looking more for $5 grand plus, which is what I paid for my wedding. Just to give you a little bit, we were about $4.5 grand for our DJ. One of the best investments in our day, and I would have paid more for him, quite frankly, because he was absolutely brilliant and set the tone and incredible. And then a duo or a solo artist around that as well, 4 or 5 plus for a premium, I would say.
7 years ago, we paid around $3 grand for ceremony to 7:30. So from like 2:30 to 7:30.
cheap.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, now,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
like it was Tilly music.
Yeah, wow.
And that's only a very rough memory of what I feel like I paid.
Yeah.
And it was a duo. They were brilliant. And I would be happy to pay more.
Yeah.
So I think there are a few different things to consider. Of course, we keep bringing up travel. We also have to remember that it is going to be better off for that vendor, just from a business point of view, to take the booking that's going to start earlier and finish later and do all the different packages they offer.
Yep.
Like beautiful Stevie Lee Music, who I love and I will promote until end of the earth. She is one of the most phenomenal musicians who will do it all on her own, a soloist, guitar, singing, play through canapes, and then she turns into DJ, and she also offers MC services, and her partner also does that too.
Yeah, wow.
She is better off, booking an entire day rather than just doing a ceremony and then going home.
Totally.
Or going to a ceremony and then another ceremony. It's way less work for her to just set up in the one place or set up at the one venue and do as much as she can and get to know one couple rather than multiple.
And remember saying all this, as we said, everything is variable, everything changes, but you're not just paying for that. It's not like a person just rocks up on the day and that's their only job.
Oh, please don't ever
Especially
assume that vendors do that.
For a full-time wedding professional, we have overheads, website upkeep, advertising, branding, car expensive, petrols, potentially office space. The list goes on. So there is general upkeep costs and back-end costs for us to continue operating our business as is, especially when you're looking at someone who does weddings professionally. They also might have a cap on the weddings they want to do a year for the reason of giving their couples a more personalized and in-depth experience, giving them more. If you spread yourself so thin and book so many, the couple are actually going to get less from you and get a worse client experience. So having a more premium price and doing less weddings a year means that you're getting the more premium experience, which is kind of what I really put into my head. It's like, I want them to have the best possible experience. And if I do 100 weddings a year, then I'm too split between them and they're not going to get the best possible experience as well.
Yeah. Your vendors just want to do their best and they want to be able to support you the best they can. 100%. And that's really important, to feel like that communication is equally reciprocated, that you can get what you want from your vendor and your vendor can get what they need from you as well.
And prioritize what is important to you. So it's like, okay, we think that the celebrant is so important and we want that part to be, we want our guests to feel excited and feel the romance or whatever. So we're going to make sure we get, we're going to budget X amount. We're going to budget $2,000 for our celebrant because that's what we really want. And then we might not have as much meaning on this part of the day. So that's where we can find, or photography. Photography, memories that last for a lifetime. You're going to this is an investment. You're going to look at these photos with your kids and grandkids for the rest of your life. So what's the difference between a couple $100 or a couple grand when that's the investment you're looking at, in my opinion? It's like, this isn't just that one day investment.
Also, as you're getting quotes, you don't have to make a decision straight away.
Yes,
sometimes
true.
Prices, of course, might change, but feel free to sleep on it. Yep. You don't have to rush into a decision. I met with a couple on, was it Wednesday night? I still haven't heard from them whether they would like to shop around, and I respect that. The community and the wedding industry is huge. And as I always say, we are spoiled for choice, and it is up to the couple to find the vendors. Now, hopefully, I'm not booked when they come back and have decided that they would like that, but it's really, really important.
And on that point, keep the line of communication open with that vendor. So it's like, hey, Georgia,
reject me.
No, not even that. We loved you and we're just shopping around, or we need time to think about to make sure it fits in our budget. Could you hold that date for us and let us know if anyone else inquires? Which I actually don't mind. I would like to hear that. It's like, okay, cool, because you're still interested, and if I get another inquiry, I'll email them back in 3 weeks and be like, hey, someone's interested in your date, and they'll be like, okay, we'll book it. Great. Or, you know what? We might leave it. So keep that open, and that there's nothing wrong with just, we have these business practices and we have our procedures because they work for us. There's nothing wrong with just asking the question. It's like, oh, that quote's higher than we expected, but we really, really want to make this work. And when you say that, I want to make it work for you because that is so special.
It doesn't mean negotiate.
No, but it might mean, could we have more of a payment plan where we do the last payment in 3 installments before the day? Of course. Of course I'm going to do that for you.
I did actually have a couple that inquired with me, and I Zoomed with them, and then I had another couple book their date and I let them know, and they actually said, we would have really loved to have known that there was another couple contending for that date.
Yeah.
So I was a bit like, oh, snooze, you lose, but also like, oh, sorry, I should have probably been clear that there were two, you never know wwho else is in your inbox.
And don't ask for a discount straight up unless you're paying for cash. Anyway, don't say that. Okay, take that bit out. Don't take that bit out. I said it. It's me. It's cool. Yeah. If you don't say it out loud, the ATO can't get you in trouble. Oh my God, I said ATO. Okay, cut that bit out.
Hey, thanks for listening.
We are so happy that you listened. I'm over the moon. In fact, if you want a little bit more, follow us on the socials. Where are we?
You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Left On Wed Podcast.
And if you want to inquire with our services for celebrant MC and coordination, you can find Georgia at Georgia Fletcher Celebrant.
And you can find Adam at Married by Adam.
Hey, if you have any ideas, questions, topics for episodes, please slide into our DMs. You can send us an email as well, which is
leftonwedpodcast@gmail.com.
And if you're loving the podcast, please tell your friends, tell people who are getting hitched. We need you to spread the word like wildfire. Get it out there.
We really want to say a big thank you to Long Reef Golf Club as well for letting us record the podcast here at their incredible wedding venue. So inquire with them today if you're looking for the perfect wedding venue for your private event or your wedding.
See you there soon, Georgia.
See you there.